For those of you that are tuning in and listening in, we wanted my good friend, my sister friend, my colleague, my Nathan, for those of you that are familiar with the Bible. She and I, her name is Ciandra, the action is Dilly. She is the founder of Inspire for Purpose. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michelle Portier. I'm the founder of Healing Women, Healing Nations of Northeast Florida, and the CEO of Michelle Speaks with a Z. If you hide it, you can't heal it. And we're coming to you because we wanted to share with you, to give you guys a different perspective on how to navigate this COVID-19 pandemic. Just a different thought processes or some things that can kind of help you to shift your mindset about how you're viewing this time where we're trying to create this new norm of how we do and live life. And Ciandra, my sister friend, and I, we had actually originally planned a retreat called the Lost Art of Connectedness. And this is our third annual event that we're doing together. And we had so many challenges bringing this into
so many
from the beginning, beginning with the beginning of this year. And we've never encountered that. And, we were talking about like, what is going on? Like, we've had challenges with, our sponsorship. We had challenges with the venue being sold. We had challenges with, people not registering. We had challenges with, and then I began to understand, because everything that we do is based on the fundamental foundation of faith, because we are faith-based women. And so we started to look at things from a spiritual perspective rather than just the natural. Like, and so many things were coming up. We weren't able to do it when we had scheduled it, which was March 20th through the 22nd. One, because I ended up having to have some surgery on the 19th. And then this COVID outbreak came. And then the most important thing is we had to go through the process of really getting real with ourselves about how disconnected we have been, not only from ourselves, but our family members and our loved ones. And how are we going to spearhead something and create an experience when we're still going through the process of learning,
right.
Getting to the root of our disconnectedness. So I'm not going to take over this whole thing, but we kind of wanted to come and just share with you all, what we have planned, what we have coming up, and what we've learned and gleaned from this time this enforced social distancing that we have, that's really causing us to have to identify with the root of our sense of being disconnected and how we can learn to connect better. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the woman of the hour.
Yeah, totally, Michelle. Like, you're right on it. We have been going through this season of great uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
And in this whole era now with the COVID-19 coronavirus, some people call it the coronication or whatever, we are now able to get kind of up close and personal with ourselves, if we choose to really see where we are disconnected. So everything that's happening with this COVID-19 is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm an optimist by default. And so I like to see the bright side of everything. And so though we are forced to be quarantined in our homes and things of that nature, it's allowing me, it's allowing Michelle, and I'm sure other people, I'm sure you guys are out there feeling it as well. How connected am I really? For some time now, I've been feeling really, really disconnected. And I'm like, what is going on? And because we've had all of these hiccups with trying to have the retreat, God was at work, because we really needed to experience this disconnect, even on a greater level, even on a greater scale, so that we could really be able to
personal level.
Express, on a personal level, and be able to express and explain to those that will be coming to the retreat in the future to really know what it does feel like. So sometimes if you haven't experienced a thing, it's very difficult to try to empathize with someone. You may try to understand it, you may not quite get it, but when you've now been through this thing, because the entire universe is going through this thing. When I say the entire universe, it is affecting the entire world. You'll be able to have a greater understanding and a greater level of experience, because now you have felt disconnected. You have been at that peak of where you felt disconnected. And so we want to learn how to reconnect now with the retreat that's going to be coming up in the future, because we are going to get through this COVID-19, guys. I mean, this is nothing new under the sun. As Michelle and I have said before, we are spiritual beings. We love the Lord thy God. And this stuff has happened in history, long ago. And God's people have yet come out of this thing, So there were gnats, and there were the blood turned to water, and there were locusts, and all of these things. And so now the COVID-19 is just, the plague of our era, but we will get through it together. But what we first have to do is learn how to listen to ourselves. And even though it's very uncomfortable in this season of the COVID-19, we have to see where we are disconnected. Now, I also know me and Michelle were talking to each other earlier today, and we were saying how people are now picking up the phone. They're calling loved ones, they're calling friends, they're having those conversations, because people that live alone, single people or whatever, they're probably really, really feeling it. I'm married with children, and even though I have them and there's a whole bunch of noise in my house, sometimes I still really feel alone. So I can understand both spectrums of everything.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, let me ask you, what are some ways that you've been, I know you did like a video earlier about some life hacks about reconnecting and getting connected. What are some things that you're doing? Because I know you're a single young lady. She's available, y'all.
But she's a single. Plug in there. Oh my God, yeah.
That's what we girlfriends do. But she is, she's single and she's there, and so what are some things that you are doing that you can help some of us single people out here to do to reconnect?
Well, basically, I want to put a pin in that, and then I'll go back to that question.
Okay.
And I wanted to key in on one of the things that you said is that, you really keyed in on, we're going to get through this together.
Yes.
And one of the things that I want to share with those that are feeling isolated because they are alone and they don't, they're not sharing space with anyone, and, this forced social distancing, and you're really having to get real with really understanding yourself and who you are, and, your faults and things like that. And what it really caused me to understand is that no matter how self-sufficient I think I am, we are hardwired for community. We are hardwired to connect. We have to bond together to be able to get through this thing called life. So even to get through this thing with this COVID-19, we cannot be an island unto ourselves. And so what it's not forced me to do, but what it's encouraged me to do even on a greater level, because I always, focus on being transparent and vulnerable and authentic, but it's forced me to really confront and face, I really have to ask for what I need, not demand those needs, that those needs be met, but I have to ask, and I can't assume that people know what I need, because I had a conversation earlier, right before the Zoom that I did earlier, and it was called Beyond the Stress, managing, some mental health hacks for managing the new norm of what COVID-19 has done, because people have been furloughed, they've lost jobs, so they don't know, their routines are off. And we're creatures of habit. We like change. We say we like change, but the fact is change is hard.
It is.
And so, so some of the things that I've done is I've incorporated recreating a new routine. A life without meaning is a life without purpose. If we don't have a reason to get up and move, then we won't move. And so, I created a schedule. It may seem like simple, but it's the simple things that we often overlook, that we take for granted. I get up, and I don't get up to an alarm clock, but I set an alarm clock now, and I set my phone across the room. So I have to make myself get up off of the couch or off of the bed, wherever I'm at, to go turn it off. And then if I'm up, I might as well be moving. I see you keep looking around. Do we have a guest that's going to join us?
Well, there's kids in the yard. So I came out, guys. I'm on my back porch to do this call, because in my house, there's always just noise all the time. So I came out here for a quieter place, but now the kids have come out. So I'm going to be kind of moving to a new location.
Yeah, and
so just keep talking, bear with me. But
yeah, and that's one of the things, life happens. And so that's one of the things that I've incorporated. I make myself get up and get moving, because if I don't, I won't, and I don't mind as the enemy's playground. You're familiar with that saying. But so I get up and I make myself move. I do my morning meditation. I listen to some music, because music impacts our mood. And if I'm feeling down, I'm not going to listen to anything that's kind of depressing, that will kind of bring my energy down. I will put on something that's uplifting. I love to, I love movement. I love light. So I'll get up and open my blinds so that the light will come in, because I'm in, Florida, everybody's not, um, 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 able to say that, but I let some light in, and then I focus on being thankful for the things that I have. Like I don't have to worry about my lights. I don't have to worry about food. I have food in my refrigerator. I don't have to worry about the basic things. And if I find myself getting lonely, I just make a list, like, who do I want to connect with today? And then what do I want to get done today? So I just make a list of the things that I want to get done. And then I prioritize it. Like, how important is it for me to get this done? How important
Right.
is it to me to speak to my circle of support? I've identified my circle of support. And then I'm like, okay, well, how often do I need to hear from them? Do I need to hear from them every day? Do I need to hear from them bi-weekly? And then I have to express what my needs are. Now, they'll let me know whether or not they're going to be able to meet those needs. But that's externally. Internally, I've found things that that I can do to be content with myself, like dealing with the things that I need to deal with. Like, I can't think and function if there's clutter. So I'm straightening up some things. I'm clearing out some things. I'm cleaning out, my junk drawer. Everybody has one, because I'm able to think clear. I am really addressing my need and acknowledging my need for connection. Like, even acknowledging that's so hard for people to say, because, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to risk being rejected or, being, however, not received. But I just have to own that. Like, I have to accept the fact, like, you and I had a conversation the other day. You picked me up that I was feeling down. After this surgery, I wasn't able to do the things that I did on a regular basis to keep me pumped up, like working out. And, even though I live alone, I was able to get up and move and get in my car and go somewhere. But because had, compromised my immune system because I was in the hospital, I'm self-quarantining myself, so I can't get up and drive and go, like I used to go sit in Starbucks if I wanted company. And so, I had gotten into a kind of difficult headspace, and, Ciandra and I had a real raw conversation about where I was at. And I was in such a low place that I couldn't communicate. But I had a sister friend, because she knew me, because we'd established a rapport and a connection. And that is the thing that I wanted to really connect with, to really bring out. If you are connected with a person, it doesn't matter if you're in their physical presence or you can tangibly touch them, as long as you have that connection and you can pick them up and you can reach out and make that connection, then you will feel better.
Right.
Because I was in a place where I couldn't move. I couldn't function. I was just like I'm in a pit, and I don't know how to get myself up out of this. And that really brought home to me, like, hey, you are not as self-sufficient as you feel you are. You still need that basic human connection. And so those are some of the things that I'm doing. I'm focusing on being grateful for the things that I do have and the people that I do have in my life. And I'm revamping, my business, focus. I'm going over my the administrative stuff that I haven't had a chance to deal with. I'm scheduling time for myself, leisure time. I'm physically putting it on a calendar, and I'm using that as a reward and not as a way to escape. Like, I'm not, doing the emotional eating thing like some people may be doing right now.
That will be me sometimes.
Yeah, I'm really identifying, am I really hungry, or is there something that I'm feeling with inside? Like, what am I thinking about? So I'm being very mindful of the things that cause me to react or trigger me to do certain things. So this is
I think you said something really important that really kind of touched me, the mindfulness part of it, because this is forcing people to think, because it may be a lot more quiet in their lives, perhaps with everything. And perhaps people are binge watching TV, but even after that gets pretty boring and kind of mundane, and just kind of puts you kind of like in a zombified state. I've just turned off the TV because it's just all become too much. Sometimes that overstimuli of just constant noise and all of this stuff can be a lot. So the great thing about this is it gives you a time to kind of steal away, in a sense. It's a forced steal away, but it's still a steal away to which your surroundings can be a lot quieter so that you can actually think and really truly ask yourself those questions and try to prepare yourself to be ready for the answers that you're going to hear. The
Yeah.
gratitude thing was the other thing that you mentioned, Michelle, and just being grateful now. I think that this COVID-19 is really opening up the eyes of men, women, boys, and girls all around the entire universe, to see what you can, or what you are truly, truly grateful for. The things that we take for
Right.
granted, just going to get that cup of coffee at our local coffee shop, going to have a dinner, sitting down in a restaurant, not taking everything for drive-through, and that kind of thing, and being able to hear the conversations around you, being
And
able to see different faces and go to different places, even just to be able to sit out sometimes and just people watch. I like to people watch. And
yeah.
so, but you're just, everything is at a distance, and just knowing that I don't have access to those people,
Yeah.
not to say that I had access to them before, but at least I could have gotten a little bit closer to say hello,
Right.
or something like that. I can kind of say it from afar, but sometimes it's just awkward and different when you're at a 50 feet away from a person, or
Right.
whatever, 10 feet or whatever, the footage that you are staying away to keep yourself safe. So that gratitude, I am so grateful for the little things. I see people in my neighborhood now here all the time. They're out on their bikes and walking. I've never seen this many people out in my
Right.
neighborhood
Right.
at one time, just walking the blocks and walking the dogs and all of that kind of stuff. And people are being really kind, which I think is really great. We're seeing that selfless love that we should give. We're seeing people do that a little bit more. I know there was a Facebook post put out in our neighborhood, and people were saying, hey, I'm a nurse in the neighborhood. If the elderly needs anything, let me know. We can go
Yeah.
shop and we can provide, medical support, or whatever the case may be. So I think that speaks volumes. And I think that is one of the true ways that we can truly reconnect with ourselves, with our neighbors, is by truly now knowing who we are. Now it's time, people, to ask those questions. Now it's time to say, who am I when the rubber meets the road? Because now the rubber is meeting the road. Believe
Yeah.
me, believe you me. So who am I really in this moment? Are your thoughts selfish? Are your desires selfish? Are you just looking out for you, to stock up on all the TP, the toilet paper, and not leave any for your
Stock up
neighbor?
on all the
Like,
food,
yeah,
stock,
all the foods and everything.
and
Are
you're
you
only
thinking about that
concerned about
person?
me and mine and my four and my four,
Exactly. Yeah. You're
you
thinking
know,
about your fellow person to see, let me leave some behind for that next person. Let me not hoard it all. So this is really going to be a true measure of who you are as a person. And, put it on a scale, 1 to 10, 10 being the very best, and see where your number truly, truly rates, and don't fudge it at all.
right.
Don't,
And
don't,
not only that, it really puts into perspective like how connected you are, um, with those that you profess to love, because
yes.
how well do you know, like, we know each other so well because we've had some in-depth intimate conversations, but for those that are living with their loved ones, how well do you really know, your spouse or your
Mm-hmm.
son or your daughter? You got accustomed to having this routine. Okay, get up, get them ready for school, you know I'm going off to work, or I'm doing work at home, and then when they get home, okay, it's let's get dinner done, let's get homework done, let's get you guys in the bed. But when do you have an opportunity to just really sit without distractions and learn about their likes, their dislikes, who they are, what their dreams are, what their desires are, and without the distractions of sitting there, okay, yeah, we're sitting here, but we're both on our phones, or we're
Right.
sitting there,
Exactly.
like, I'm talking to you, but let me answer this quick text, or let me answer this quick call, and then I'll get right back to you, and then the moment is broken.
Yes.
So really
Yes.
being able to be in tune. And so what that's helped me to do is really be in tune with, like, I reached out to my daughter. We talk every day, and
That's
for no
awesome.
less than like 30 minutes. And she's really opening up and pouring out her heart to me. And likewise, it's really helped me to see the bigger picture. And I shared this with you earlier. Like, I'm really in a place where I want to not only forgive people, for the wrongdoings that they've done against me, but I want to love them beyond that. Like, I want to see, I'm seeing the bigger picture. Like, I don't even care about what you did. I just want to love you because of the love that I have to give, without the constant memory of, well, let me put my guard up because you did this thing. I don't care, because, God forbid, if something were to happen and I heard that something happened to people that have done wrong to me, I would still feel bad, if I have not had resolution with them. And so that's a part of the reconnecting too. Like, it causes you to put things into a different perspective.
Indeed, and the right perspective. So now, each and every person out there, that's listening to our voice, listening to our stories, this is the time to go and get it right. Because tomorrow is not promised. And you see how quickly this COVID-19 came on. And much more can happen, and much more will happen as we're in the end times. But don't be discouraged, because God has you. He has all of us in the palm of his hands. And so we're going to get through this again together. So go out there, make those wrong relationships right. Get to really know yourself, ask yourself the right questions, connect with your families, know the quirks that really tick you off, because my kids have some new quirks that I found that really kind of get under my skin.
But have the conversation. The most important thing is learning to communicate with instead of at,
Yes. And
really,
that's the key message. Yeah.
Really hearing what people are saying. And, and I go back to this because that's just how we are. We've encountered some challenges in our relationships, but guess what? We're stronger than ever now, and it's brought us closer together. So I would implore you to use this time to reconnect with yourself, but also just to prepare as we continue to plan this retreat, the Lost Art of Connectedness, on how and what things you would like to address. And send us some emails, drop us some comments about some things that you'd like to see. We've got some things planned, but we're open, to your input and some insight about what you've learned about yourself and about others during this time. And so, we could go on and on and on, but I'm excited. I've changed my perspective of how I looked at this COVID-19, because I'm gonna tell you, I was not in a good place, initially. After I got out of the hospital, because I'm confined to this house, I'm by myself, I have all these things, but without connection, what does it matter?
Right.
Without, so what does it really matter? Like, if something were to happen to me, like, who would know unless I reached out to them? Because I had a gentleman call me and was like, you're such a busy woman, but I would love to kind of partner with you and kind of do that. Can we talk about that? And I'm like, yeah, of course we can. Let's talk about it. He was like, but I just, your schedule is so full. So people have a perception of who you are based on what you do professionally, without really looking at that you're human too. And so we're all human. And the basic thing we want and desire as humans is connection with self and with others, so take this time.
And we need it.
Yeah.
We totally need that. So we're challenging each and every one of you out there to connect, to get reconnected, to not get bummed out that you are disconnected in this season. I'm still working through some of my disconnects, so we're all in this together. But definitely stay tuned for our retreat that's going to be coming up here in the future. We'll keep you guys posted. Eventbrites will go out and things of that nature as we get through this COVID-19. So we just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Please share, leave comments, leave whatever you need. We're going to post this on our YouTube channels, so you guys will be able to check that out. I am Sandra, the Actionist with Inspire for Purpose, and we have Michelle Portier of Michelle Speaks. That's with the Z. If you hide it, you can't heal it. So stay plugged in, stay tuned. Yes, and know that we are in this together, that we are praying with you, and that we are praying for you, and that this too shall pass.
And you know that song, we're in this love together.
You got it.
We need to be reduced to love again. So that is my prayer. That is my request. That is my ask of you guys, to be reduced to love, because that is what we were created to do.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Love and light.
Pause. I paused the recording. Well, I stopped the recording.
Okay. How is this doing? Okay. Can you